The Conservative Party's push to ban cousin marriage has sparked accusations of Islamophobia, with critics claiming that a Tory MP's proposed bill incites hate. But let's take a moment to unpack this and ask ourselves, how does a debate about public health, personal freedoms and cultural practices spiral into accusations of hate-mongering and Islamophobia? In today's video we're diving deep into this story, exploring both sides of the argument and discussing why this issue has become so polarizing. We'll also cover the latest news from across the country, so stick around, and before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. At the heart of this debate is Basildon and Biller MP Richard Holden, who brought a private member's bill to Parliament to address what he describes as the risks to health, freedom and the cohesion of our society posed by first cousin marriage. The bill, which had its first reading in December and is up for a second reading today, has drawn sharp criticism from various quarters. Critics argue that the proposed ban is less about addressing genuine public health concerns and more about political point scoring and stoking division. Natasha Ratas, CEO of the charity Karma Nana, which supports survivors of forced marriage and honor-based abuse, described the backlash to cousin marriage as counterintuitive. She claims it could discourage individuals affected by its negative impacts from seeking help for fear of being caught in a politically charged debate. Professor Neil S.M., co-author of the Bourne and Brentford study, weighed in on the issue, suggesting that instead of outright bans, the focus should be on education and access to genetic testing. According to him, inflammatory rhetoric risks alienating communities and hindering the adoption of science-based solutions that could help families make informed choices. Meanwhile, representatives of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community UK have labelled the proposed ban as damaging, arguing that it would stigmatise their community and infringe upon fundamental freedom. They emphasise that cousin marriages often provide stability and support within extended families. While I respect the importance of cultural traditions, the health risks associated with cousin marriages are well documented. Studies show increased risks of genetic disorders, stillbirths and other complications for children born from these unions. So why are we skirting around these facts in favor of political sensitivities? If a law is proposed to protect public health, should we be engaging in a constructive, solutions-focused dialogue rather than shutting down the conversation with accusations of hate? Here's the crux of the problem. Opponents of the ban seem more concerned about its supposed intent than its actual impact. Yes, it's essential to ensure the bill doesn't stigmatize or alienate communities, but does that mean we ignore the issue entirely? Surely there's a way to balance cultural respect with science and public health. Additionally, the argument that cousin marriage strengthens family bonds feels outdated in the context of a modern, diverse society. Isn't it time we encouraged healthier practices without viewing it as an attack on culture? Public health policy should aim to educate and empower individuals, not perpetuate practices that could harm future generations. This debate is a perfect example of how a legitimate issue can become entangled in political and cultural sensitivities. It's frustrating that efforts to address real risks are being dismissed as divisive rather than constructive. If we can't have an open and informed conversation about this, how can we move forward as a society? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this bill is justified, or do you believe it oversteps the mark? Let's discuss in the comments. In some other news, Sadiq Khan has been placed under investigation for accepting free tickets to a Taylor Swift concert last summer on Friday. City Hall Standards Watchdog confirmed it would be examining whether Labour's Mayor of London exercised an appropriate level of caution in deciding to accept the tickets to the show last August. The investigation comes after Conservative London Assembly member Susan Hall lodged a formal complaint against longtime opponent Khan, though 3 of her 4 allegations were dropped by authorities. A Greater London Authority GLA spokesman said the monitoring officer has reviewed the complaint against the mayor and will not be investigating 3 of the 4 allegations. An investigation will now take place to establish if the mayor exercised an appropriate level of caution in deciding to accept the tickets. A spokesman for the Mayor of London said any gift accepted by the mayor is declared openly and transparently in this case. There was an administrative error which was corrected. The mayor has no involvement in the procurement process for GLA events nor in the tendering of these contracts. The mayor's office will continue to ensure all the right processes are followed and looks forward to explaining the approach that was taken in this instance. In some other news, a man has been sentenced for fraudulently claiming more than £22,000 in benefits while working as a taxi and delivery driver. Larry Guff of Lambert Terrace appeared at Gloucester Crown Court on January 8, where he received a 12-month community order for making false benefit claims. The fraud involved council tax reduction, housing benefit and pension credit claims from Tewkesbury Borough Council and the Department for Work and Pensions. DWP Gov fraudulently claimed £2,212,037 in council tax reduction from September 2020 to August 2023. He also dishonestly obtained £8,285.61 in housing benefit from Tewkesbury Borough Council. The largest sum was £11,726.33 in pension credit claimed from the Department for Work and Pensions at Cheltenham Magistrates Court. He pleaded guilty to making false representations under both the Council Tax Reduction Scheme regulations and the Social Security Administration Act. The fraud was uncovered when Gov failed to notify authorities that he was employed as both a taxi driver and delivery driver. His undeclared employment meant he was not entitled to the benefits he claimed. The investigation was launched after the council received reports about Gov's circumstances. Officers from the council's counter-fraud and enforcement unit worked alongside DWP colleagues to investigate the case. As part of his sentence, Gov was ordered to complete 80 hours of unpaid work. The court also ordered him to pay a £95 surcharge. The prosecution was brought by the Crown Prosecution Service on behalf of the DWP in connection with the pension credit and housing benefit claims. Tewkesbury Borough Council's lead member for Finance and Asset Management, Councillor Stuart Dove, emphasised the council's commitment to protecting public funds. Tewkesbury Borough Council is committed to ensuring that public funds are used appropriately and that those who attempt to defraud the system are held accountable. He said. He added, "This successful prosecution demonstrates our dedication to protecting the integrity of our welfare system and supporting those who genuinely need assistance. We encourage residents to report any suspicions of fraud to help us maintain fairness and justice in our community." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel.